Hello, Kathy.
Hello there. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and you?
I'm doing great.
Uh,
I've had
I,
trouble getting my kitty off my keyboard. My
oh,
kitty Toby is in one of his loving moods, and he kept wanting to lay down right across my keyboard. He finally settled down behind my laptop, so I guess he'll be there through our presentation.
okay. Well, it is what it is. All right. So I'm very happy because every time that we are touching upon the personality types, um, I am basically realizing that each of us has a dominant factor of each personality. And that's very interesting. It's like, again, we are not trying to judge people because they are dominant in one personality versus others. I think the goal of this podcast is to understand how to work with certain type of personalities and how to make it work, right? To having effective communication. And so, with that being said, that let's start, right? All
Okay,
right.
so we're up to number 6, the
Right.
loyalist, the committed, security-oriented type, engaging, responsible, anxious, and suspicious.
What do you mean by suspicious?
Yeah, that's a good question. What does that mean? If he's loyal, why is he suspicious? Why would that be a characteristic of a loyalist?
I don't have a clue.
I don't either. I mean, I prepared this material, but I wondered why would they think that they were suspicious? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out, right?
Yeah, I think maybe it's suspicious, but let's define what you mean by suspicious. What?
Yeah, really. Maybe the when we get into the material, maybe it'll be a little more elaborating on what they mean by that.
Mhm. But in general terms, when somebody said, "Hey, that guy looks suspicious," what your brain is processing when you hear that comment?
Yeah, really. Huh. Yeah, if somebody looks suspicious, you're wondering if they are in the process of robbing somebody or if they are in the process of sabotaging you at work or something like that. You never know, do you?
Yeah, maybe it's being in defensive mode. Maybe it's trying to say that loyalists are defensive mode. We will find that out while we are reviewing this material,
We shall see.
and we'll see. All right.
Okay, the committed, security oriented type loyalists are reliable, hardworking, responsible, and trustworthy. Excellent troubleshooters. They foresee problems and foster cooperation, but can also become defensive, evasive, and anxious, running on stress while complaining about it. Oh, I've had a few of those employees. They can be cautious and indecisive, but also reactive, defiant, and rebellious. How about that? They basically have problems with self doubt and suspicion. That is interesting, isn't it? At their best, internally stable and self reliant, courageously championing though themselves and others. I'm trouble talking tonight. Championing, hard word to say. Okay, let's go on. Loyalists are the most loyal to their friends and to their beliefs. They will go down with the ship and hang on to relationships of all kinds far longer than most other types. They are also loyal to ideas, systems, and beliefs, even to the belief that all ideas or authorities should be questioned or defied. Indeed, not all loyalists go along with the quote status quo. Their beliefs may be rebellious and anti authoritarian, even revolutionary. In any case, they will typically fight for their beliefs more fiercely than they will fight for themselves. And they will defend their community or family more tenaciously than they will defend themselves. That's interesting. That they make good soldiers. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I think everybody has some sort of loyalty. Uh,
Hmm.
I hear many times the comment that you need to be loyal to yourself before being loyal with other people. So that's why I was like trying to understand the concept of loyalty, of being loyal, what this entitles for us. For it's like loyal to your wife. What's that supposed to mean? Loyal to yourself,
Hmm.
right? So um, that's a very interesting.
Well, it really is. And I was trying to relate to anything that ever happened to me. I remember when I went to work for a home builder, I hadn't been there maybe a week. And the builder came storming out of his office and threw something down on my desk, yelling at me for all of the office to hear. And then he whirled around, went back in his office, and slammed the door. And I sat there thinking, well, this is really interesting. This is telling me a lot. And I made the decision to go talk to him about it. So I got up, knocked on his door, and he told me to come in. What do you want? And I said, can I sit down? Yeah. And I said, what just happened out there? I just wanted to know, is this your standard practice? Because if it is, I'm afraid I can't keep this job. And I told him, I learn quickly. If I make a mistake and you tell me, I will correct it. I've been here a week. There are things I don't know yet. So, but I just want to know if this is your usual behavior, then I'm going to have to find another job. Well, I shocked him so much. Nobody ever stood up to this man before, but I was loyal to myself, Raul. I knew that there was no way for my own self respect that I could remain at a company where I was going to be yelled at and put down constantly. And I think I shocked him because he apologized. I was with him for 7 years. He never did that to me again. Now, he did it to everybody else, but he never did it to me. So maybe that's part of being loyal to yourself. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is loyal to yourself. Is to fight for what you believe is your right, what
Yeah.
you deserve, right? And yeah, I think um, all extremes are bad, right?
Yeah. And what I kept thinking about just a minute ago when we were reading through this, how can anybody else show you respect if you don't have self-respect? How can anybody else be loyal to you if you don't show loyalty to them? So this particular characteristic that we're talking about sounds like somebody that I would like to have as a friend. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. I think, um, like I said, I believe we human beings have different. Uh, it's like we. It's I consider us as a cake, and then you are the full cake, and then you had pieces of the cake.
Hmm.
Those pieces of the cake are your personality types. You cannot say I am not loyal. I mean, it may be your dominant will be other personality, but you are still loyal. It's not one personality. What I am trying to say is one personality does not uh, monopolize the who you are, because I think who you are a series of personalities, but one is more dominant than the others,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and the trick is for us to quickly identify, uh, how to manage conversations when you see someone is dominant in one personality type, and how to go around it, how to appreciate it, how to take that human being as a friend, as a resource, or even just being able to talk,
Yeah.
right? Because
Hmm.
then if you know that this loyal person has that's dominant in his being, right? There are things that, in order to communicate to him or to her, there are some aspects that will connect, right? And that's what you need to understand, is how you connect with those kind of uh, or personality dominant types. But I extremely believe that we do have different, from like I was saying, we are like a cake, and all those pieces are the different personalities that define at the end who you are. And that's very interesting, because this comes to a philosophical uh, it can help you to answer this philosophical question: who Kathy is,
Hmm.
who you are,
Hmm. That's right.
right?
Well, what I keep remembering, Raul, is the connection I had with God when He spoke out loud to me. And when He said to me, I love you for who you are, not what you do. And I have never forgotten that. And this is what I try to remember with the people that I come in contact with, that each one of us is a spark of God's divine love. And we all have characteristics to a great extent that were formed in our formative years. That's why they call them formative, because things are formed. We call them core issues today. And somebody who was a loyalist today, fortunately, had a role model that they experienced when they were growing up. And what we find is we still come back to the same issue. If if people rub you the wrong way, I still say, if you start radiating love toward that person, I don't care how obnoxious they are. Love is the most powerful force in the universe, and it can change the hardest heart. So even this person, if they are very rebellious or they're fiery or something like that, just let them know that they are appreciated and send them love, and they will be so loyal to you that you'll become the greatest team in the world. Don't you think so?
No, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. I think that's key. But and when we talk about personality types, we are answering this question of who you are. It's like you are looking at an iceberg, right? So you see the peak of the iceberg, but the bottom of the iceberg
Yeah.
is
Mm.
is very deep down.
Oh, yes.
And so what I believe what we are doing while we are sharing all of what we are just taking the peak of the iceberg. When we talk about personality types, we are just working on the surface,
That's right.
trying to
Mm-hmm.
make sense. But when you are trying to answer the question of who you are, then that starts to go deep in the iceberg, right? Because who you are, then it will relate to what we are in terms of energy, right? Is how our uh, spirit becomes material, and we live here and we acquire a personality based on what you can say, based on how I was raised uh, from my parents, or even if you go deeper, you will say maybe my personality or my spirit is taking information from another life, and it's just I am basically evolving. It's like I am improving, I am learning now here. something that I didn't learn before, and see how then from the top of the iceberg we go very deep, deep, deep down, and then we need to we the more down we go is when we start becoming aware, right? It becomes the awareness stage. And so that's why I feel very, very grateful that every time that we discuss topics here, we can touch the peak of the iceberg, that could be visible. But and if we do our extra effort, we will go deep down,
Hmm. That's
right?
right.
So well, I'm sorry, I deviate totally, but I was just saying that everything complements. This is complementary to
Yep.
start understanding each other and be able to communicate, to be more empathic with other um, human beings, because now we are able to recognize that they have a dominant personal type, and therefore our communication needs to adapt to who we are talking with and how we can work together and put that strength into benefit for living a better life. That's
That's
it.
right. And in a community, you want all of these different personalities because the blending of the personalities means if you had everybody who was just so happy all the time, no progress would be made. Or if you had somebody who was a workaholic, no relationships would be created. So all of these personalities are created by God for a reason. So we can all learn to get along with each other and appreciate each other and their different personality types. So, how do we appreciate loyalists? Until they can get in touch with their own guidance, loyalists are like a ping pong ball that is constantly shuttling back and forth between whatever influence is hitting the hardest in any given moment. I know a few people like that. Because of this reactivity, no matter what we say about them, the opposite is often also is true. They are both strong and weak, fearful and courageous, trusting and distrusting, defenders and provokers, sweet and sour, aggressive and passive, bullies and weaklings. Interesting. Hmm. On the defensive and on the offensive, thinkers and doers, group people and soloists, believers and doubters, cooperative and obstructionist, tender and mean, generous and petty, and go on and on. It is the contradictory picture that is the characteristic fingerprint of loyalists, the fact that they are a bundle of opposites.
What do you mean? Let's elaborate on that.
Well, look at all that they have laid out here for us on the defensive and on the offensive, thinkers and doers, group people and soloists, believers and doubters, cooperative and obstructionist, tender, mean, generous, and petty. So it's very contradictory. So if you're dealing with somebody who is really a loyalist, one day they may be defensive about something that you said to them, and the next day they're attacking you. So now they are offensive. What you do with these people is you try to bring out the very best in them. And I have to tell you, I remember when I first started my mortgage training institute, there was a man who took the class, excuse me, who interrupted me every 5 minutes to argue with me about a particular topic. And by the time we took a break at 10:30, I was exhausted. And I went into my office and I closed the door and I asked for guidance. And what guidance told me was this person was insecure. He knew the mortgage business, but he was insecure. And by attacking me was his way of saying, look at me, I'm really smart. And what my guidance told me to do was to bring him into the fold, so to speak, allow him to share his knowledge. So when we got back from the break and I began to talk, Raul, I wasn't talking 10 minutes when the man raised his hand again. Only this time I said, and how about you, John, in the mortgage company you work for? Did you ever run into this situation? And how did you handle it? The guy calmed right down. And a couple of other times I'd ask, what about you? What about your mortgage company, John? Anything like this? And you know what, Raul? From that point forward, he never interrupted me again. So, but guidance had to tell me what we're sharing with people tonight. If you understand the different personalities, you will know how to work with them to bring out the best in them. So instead of going for the offensive, he became my greatest supporter. He was loyal to me. And from that point forward, people would say, well, John told me to take your class. So you see where getting to know how to work with a loyalist was very beneficial for me too.
Yeah, no, it happens to me. I wouldn't say quite often, and as you know, I am also professor at the university, master's in construction project management,
Uh-huh.
and I do have students that are wonderful, make a lot of questions, and I think um, one way to really what worked for me, especially with you have these individuals that ask many questions, and they want to show that they have some knowledge. Um, it's just giving the space,
Yep.
right? It's like um, give them the space to shine, and that will basically ignite a lot of appreciation back
Yep.
to you,
Absolutely.
right? And then instead of being then in defensive mode, like always offensive or contradicting you, they are going to be your partner,
That's
right?
exactly right. And that's exactly
Um,
what happened.
Sometimes it's very hard because
Yes, it is.
this personality tries to to outbid you, right? And that's where I think what the next classes I was thinking about what will be the next topic, and I think the next topic should be how to manage ego.
Oh, you mean easing God out? EGO?
Ego.
Ego is easing God out.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key key um, things that we need to uh, look into. But let's continue.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
We just did this one.
Oh,
Loyalists are always aware of their anxieties and are always looking for ways to construct, quote, social security bulwarks against them. If they feel that they have sufficient backup, they can move forward with some degree of confidence. But if that crumbles, they become anxious and self doubting, reawakening their basic fear. I'm on my own. What am I going to do now? Interesting, huh?
interesting. So, can you give an example of that?
Well, they're aware of their fears and anxieties and looking for ways to construct social security bulwarks. As long these people are looking for backup in anything they do, if they don't feel like they are backed up, they're going to fall into fear. And when they fall into fear, they go on the defensive. And you never want an employee who goes on the defensive. I've been there too. So as long as these people feel they have the support, whether it's the support of management or support of their team, wherever they're working, They are ready to move forward. It's like, come on, let's go. But if they turn around and there's nobody there, they're just going to crumple.
Mm,
So they need backup.
yeah,
You
no,
may
I
have
seen that.
going to be great employees. Or if they're a coworker, if you support this person, they will be the leader in helping everybody move forward.
Yeah, I seen that.
Hmm.
I seen that when you have someone loyal, but if they don't have the backup or the support system,
Yep,
they you know, they lost confidence.
I know. And just like everybody, they're insecure. So as long as you can make them feel that they've got your back,
Hmm. Yeah.
they're going to be good. A good question for them might therefore be, when will I know that I have enough security? Or to get right to the heart of it, what is security? Without essential inner guidance and the deep sense of support that it brings. And what do we mean by that? Without essential inner guidance. Just like me going into my office. And what did I do, Raul? I asked for guidance because I know that God has given each and every soul support, but we have to ask. If nobody has ever experienced that inner guidance, then they're going to be struggling to find firm ground. So these are the people that would be wonderful to help bring into the fold, to help them realize how much love and support they really have available. In other words, going from powerless to powerful. We always come back to the course that we offer.
Hmm.
People who feel powerless need to understand just how much support is really available to them if they know how to tap into it. And these would be a great group to teach that to, wouldn't they?
No, absolutely. I think that is needed. Not only you know human beings that have the dominant personality of being loyal, but and also I believe entrepreneurs that are dealing with uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the real entrepreneur is someone that takes a lot of risk, and sometimes if your brain or your persona is not trained, um, basically you're gonna just give up. So
Well,
this.
I tell you, you're absolutely right. And I have worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, hey, Kitty, who have just started their business. And I have to shake my head when I realize that they have an idea and they go like a bullet towards it and have no idea what's going to happen. So these are the people that you would want to sit down with and say, okay, let's plan this out. So you want to start a business. Let's talk about the funding. Let's talk about the staffing. Let's talk about the product or the service you're going to be offering, who you're. And what I find, and it worked for me when I started my business, as soon as I got clear on what I wanted, Opie, you cannot lay in front of the camera, sweetie. As soon as I got clear on what I wanted, I took off like a bullet. So for these people, if you can get them to have clarity of purpose and see the program laid out in front of them, Raul, you would be amazed how quickly their business would prosper.
100%.
Absolutely. But I am
100.
surprised at the number of people who just start a business without giving any thought to it. And then why do you think that 38% of all new businesses fail within the first year? Why do you think that is? Because they did not have clarity of purpose. They did not lay out their program. And for those who lay it out and they see it, remember, your mind is incredibly, incredibly powerful. If you can see it in your mind, you can manifest it in reality. So for those people who lay it out and then move the plan forward, they will be successful.
Yep, I agree.
Absolutely. And we can help them with that too, can't we?
Recon.
Okay, how about type 7, the enthusiast, the busy, fun loving type, spontaneous, versatile, distractible, and scattered, the good and the bad. Enthusiasts are extroverted, optimistic, versatile, and spontaneous. Playful, high spirited, and practical, they can also misapply their many talents, becoming overextended, scattered, and undisciplined. I knew a lot of loan officers like that. They constantly seek new and exciting experiences, but can become distracted and exhausted by staying on the go. They basically have problems with impatience and impulsiveness. At their best, they focus their talents on worthwhile goals, becoming appreciative, joyous, and satisfied. Enthusiasts are enthusiastic about almost everything that catches their attention. They approach life with curiosity, optimism, and a sense of adventure, like kids in a candy store who look at the world in wide eyed, rapt anticipation of all the good things they are about to experience. They are bold and vivacious, pursuing what they want in life with a cheerful determination. They have a quality best described by the Yiddish word chutzpah, a kind of brash nerviness. How do we appreciate enthusiasts? Well, they're frequently endowed with quick, agile minds and can be exceptionally fast learners. Now, this is true of both their ability to absorb information like language, facts, and procedures, and their ability to learn new manual skills. They tend to have excellent mind body coordination and manual dexterity, like typewriting, piano playing, tennis, things like that. All of this can combine to make them into the quintessential Renaissance person, good at just about everything. If you can get them focused, like the loan, I ran a mortgage company. I was managing a mortgage company. I had 20 loan officers. And I had a few loan officers who came in there and said, "Oh man, I'm going to do really great in the mortgage business." And a month later, they're discouraged. They went willy-nilly in every direction, absolutely exhausting themselves until I made them sit down and let's talk about, okay, you've tried this and this and this and this. You tried to get business from realtors, you tried to go to apartment complexes, your neighbors, etc. Which one of those made you feel good? And when I got them to focus, oh, I like working for home builders. Okay, so let's focus on the home builders and let's create a plan of action. They became the top producers. So for the enthusiast, if you can get them to focus on what makes them happy, where they get the most joy in their work, you're going to have a great employee and a great team player too. If they can get focused on the bottom line or the end goal, then they can bring all of the other team members into that and make them feel enthusiastic. I watched this movie with Owen Wilson, and I can't remember the other guy, but they were aging salesmen who lost their job because nobody wore watches anymore. You know, everybody used their cell phone to see the time. And they ended up getting into a internship at Google. And of course, they were used to getting out there and going crazy to get the business. And you had all of these young kids who had no idea how to do marketing. So these two older men, with their enthusiasm, were able to show these young kids just graduating from college how to get focused on generating business. And they did such a fabulous job in getting their team enthusiastic that they won the big prize. And of course, the big prize was that they would become permanent employees of Google. So you get somebody who is enthusiastic like that and you get them focused, and man, their team is going to be number one every time.
Absolutely.
You ever work for somebody or have somebody in your team like that?
Yeah, I have one member of the team that is very enthusiastic. Yeah, no, sure, sure. I have a very nice, diverse team.
It really helps, doesn't it? I love enthusiastic people if they can get clear on what they want. As enthusiasts speed up their pursuit of whatever seems to offer freedom and satisfaction, they tend to make worse choices. And there are less able to be satisfied because everything is experienced indirectly through the dense litter filter of their fast paced mental activity. The result is that sevens end up anxious, frustrated, and enraged with fewer resources available to them physically, emotionally, or financially. They may end up ruining their health, their relationships, and their finances in their search for happiness.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so we come back to the same thing. If you can get an enthusiast to get to focus and teach them, it's a training steps. You have to teach them training steps. Okay, you're enthusiastic about this. What are you going to do? Well, what do you mean? I'm going to run out there and do it. Well, let's stop a minute. Take a breath, honey. What do you mean you're going to run out there? Let's talk about what you're going to do when you run out there. So when you get them to start thinking about that, they make fabulous employees or team players.
What do you mean by the result is that sevens end up anxious? What sevens ends up means?
Well, what we're saying is when they run out there, just it's like, have you ever heard the expression when you take a handful of mud and throw it up against a wall to see what sticks?
Yeah,
What they're doing is they're going in all direction. They're scattered all over the place. And of course, the more scattered you become, the less actually it's going to benefit you. You won't be productive. So
yeah,
when they get discouraged because they run around and they're scattered all over the place and they end up with no results.
yeah,
So what happens is if you can get them focused, okay, let's create a plan of action. Let's talk about the steps you're going to take. First of all, who is your audience? Second of all, what is their personality type? Like we've been learning here. What will appeal to them to make them buy your product? Or for me, it was buying houses when I was an on-site sales agent, or real estate agents who needed a good loan officer to handle their buyers once they signed a contract. Get them focused. And once we could do that, they became very productive loan officers.
yeah, yeah,
On the positive side, however, enthusiasts are extremely optimistic people, exuberant and upbeat. They are endowed with abundant vitality and a desire to fully participate in their lives each day. They're naturally cheerful and good humored, not taking themselves too seriously or anything else for that matter. The basic desire of enthusiasts is to be satisfied, happy, and fulfilled. And when they are balanced within themselves, their joy and enthusiasm for life naturally affect everyone else around them. They remind us of the pure pleasure of existence, the greatest gift of all, right?
yeah, yeah. That's amazing. I like I said, I think everybody has a little bit of something. Like
Yeah,
me, I am enthusiastic. I have. I think that's trying to see. I think when we finish, we need to make like a map and see. Okay, Raul is dominant in these types, medium dominant in the other ones, lower on those on the other ones,
mm-hmm.
and the same with Kathy.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so by doing that exercise in the next, podcast, then the people that are hearing us, they will do the same exercise.
I know it would be great, wouldn't it? And we still come back to the same issue of guidance, Raul. Because I knew God was real from a very, very young age, I have depended on that guidance my entire life. And what it has helped me do for every job I ever had, any management tasks that I ever worked in, and handling my own employees. I set my ego aside, easing God out, that said, I'm the boss. You got to listen to me. And I said, guidance, please help me work with these people or this person. And guidance gave me the answers. So we are looking at these different personalities. And all I needed to do was say, please, dear God, can you please tell me how to help this person? Whether it was an employee of mine or any other situation, a student that was having problems absorbing some information. And I was able to get that guidance. So, what we're hoping, Raul, is that people listening to this podcast can begin to ask, if they've never asked before, just ask the question: is anybody out there? Do I really have support? Can I really ask for guidance? And that's all that Spirit is asking for. Because we're free will here. God doesn't interfere unless you ask. But the minute you ask, man, the door is open. And you're going to be so amazed at the guidance that you're going to receive. And you never have to be afraid anymore, because you know that you're always going to be guided. And to me, that will be the greatest gift we can bestow on anybody who is listening to this podcast.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Um, as it relates to me, like when I have tough conversations, I sometimes I keep myself quiet, and then I close my eyes, and then I am just trying to, not to say the first thing that it goes from my ego or from an emotional state of anger. It's just calm down, breathe, and then come with a response. That helps. And I advise everybody that is looking at this podcast to do the same.
Yes.
Especially if you're an entrepreneur and you have partners. Sometimes you disagree with a partner, and it's normal. We are different human beings, and there is also the balance of power between the partners, right? And what you should avoid by all means is to react just by anger, by desperation.
Mm-hmm.
You just should breathe, and then your idea will be guided, and that's the guidance. Is that source of information that relays. The other party may still not agree. They may disagree, and they will have their own ideas, but at least you made your part. You already delivered the information.
Mm-hmm.
You were not violent. You were not antagonistic. You just took the information that you were received from the source,
That's right. And I
handled this
think
off.
if there's anything that people need to learn, it is that in situations like you're talking about, where there's an argument going on and you're feeling small,
Mm-hmm.
it was never about you. Just like the builder that I went to work for, when he came out and verbally attacked me, I'm not the one with the problem. Instead of me thinking, oh no, I'm a bad person. He thinks I'm a poor employee. Is he gonna, oh no. I knew better. And because of that, I could recognize he's the one with the problem, not me. And because of that, I could go in and just calmly say, okay, I need to know if this is your normal behavior, then I can't work here. And if people could get to the point where when they're in conflict, if they just stop and think, this is really not about me. They're the one, could be your boss is hurting, could be that he's under a lot of stress and a lot of tension, your spouse. Usually, if you just stop and think, this isn't about me, it must be about them. I wonder if I can help them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go
Yep.
on the defensive.
Yep.
Think of what you can do to help the other party. And
Yep.
it's amazing how you will see them completely change
Mm-hmm.
when you ask if there's anything I can do to help you.
Yep.
Just they change.
And avoid the victimization. Avoid the victimization. And I know it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
but you have to avoid it. If you avoid victimizing yourself, that's gonna make things to move a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this was wonderful. We are now wrapping this up. So hopefully for the people that are listening to us, you you get something that will, you know, sort of help you to understand yourself better and
Hmm.
understand others better. And it's not about being too judgmental. It's all about understanding,
Yes, it
knowledge.
really is.
It's
It
just
really
knowledge.
is. And to know, as we always say, how much you are loved for who you are, not what you do, and that you matter.
Yeah,
That's the most important thing to get across.
yeah,
You are so loved and you really matter.
you do. Absolutely. All right. Love you. For all the people that has eventually will see this podcast. Uh, and like Kathy said, remember, God always loves you, and God is always with you.
Yes,
Always. All
absolutely.
right.
Take care.
Okay. Take care, Kathy. Bye.
Bye bye.